Welcome back to East Coast DNA. We're at the end of the interviews from my Sommo weekend, but you will notice the other ones I was not in. I just wanted to sit down with BabyJake here. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me. I feel special that you're only in this one.
Well, I don't want to insult the other people, but I've been listening to your stuff for quite a while now. I've been ramping up quite a bit, getting ready for Sommo too. So
yeah, how did you hear about it?
I know some of the PR people from here, so I was aware you were coming early on and was listening to that.
Cool.
I knew a couple of your songs from somewhere. I don't know if it's just Spotify algorithm
Yeah.
or what. I am curious. I missed the end of your set because I was doing photo shoots. I got some of it, missed the end. Did you play Cigarettes and Patios?
Yeah, I did.
You did, yeah.
I did. It's like third to last on the set.
So that one has become a regular song in my car to the point that like my gym buddies make fun of me when I'm pulling away because that turns on as soon as we're pulling.
I love that though, man. And the way we play it, so you didn't hear it live?
No, I was off in the back and I didn't end up hearing
I'll try
it,
to post the video so you can see on Instagram.
Amazing.
But it's like a rock version. It's amazing.
Oh, cool.
Because like there's no piano obviously, so my guitarist plays the guitar.
Yeah.
But he plays the same riff.
Cool.
So it's awesome. But it's the same song. I fucking love that song, honestly. I used to hate it for a while because like always happens with your biggest song.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I got to hear it all the time, blah, blah. But now I love it because everybody knows it.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you just like play it and then people get hype and it's
they're
like,
singing along and
yeah.
bouncing.
Yeah,
It's
I felt like
quite
the
fun.
crowd was amazing, to be honest. So.
Yeah, I mentioned to you before we started recording, I knew somebody else that was playing there. I was in the Sandbar quite a bit today, and the crowd was amazing up there.
Yeah.
Like, you guys were getting them riled up quite good up there. Like, everyone was really, really into it, which is amazing when there's a main stage.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as they just look, that's right there.
Yeah, we got really lucky, though, with the time slot, too, like 5 p.m. Nobody else was on besides on the culinary stage.
Yeah.
So it's like, obviously, I think some people come here just for the culinary.
Yeah.
But, like, man, we got so lucky to have that slot. And, like, I thank my agent, Griffin, for, like, fighting hard for getting good slots because I just, like, I know that I could go out and play main stages at, like, 2 p.m.
Yeah.
Better to play Amazon Sandbar stage at 5.
Yeah.
Like, we had, like, probably 3,000 people, you know, or something, like, close to that, you know. And I was just, like, looking out, and I was hyped.
And I definitely know
So
that you
much
made
fun.
a few new fans.
Totally.
Besides just the reaction from people when I was getting around the back for some extra shots myself, ran into a few people I knew and stuff, and like people were like, "Man, this guy's phenomenal."
Sick.
Quick little note for you, just some chick that was standing behind me. No offense to women in general for saying chick, but she was behind me when I was taking photos, and when you came out and you stripped down your jacket into just the tank. That was obviously a new fan. she was like trying to figure out what was happening, and then you took the jacket off. She goes, "Oh wow, he's hot."
That's
were right
so
front row
funny.
the rest of the show, so.
That's hilarious.
You have a marketing move right there.
Yeah, it was funny because like this I love this jacket so
Yeah.
much. It's been like I actually bought this in Montreal, and the last tour that I was on, and the second to my last tour, not the opening slot that I did, but I bought this jacket and. It's been like my favorite. I bought it for like 40 USD or something like that. Like so cheap. Been my favorite. But whenever you try to play guitar on it, it gets like caught up. So I was talking to everybody. I'm like, what do I do? And Jonah Kagan, who came on after me, he's a Nashville guy too.
Yeah.
So like we're friends. A lot of friends at this festival actually, which is awesome.
Great.
And he was like, why don't you just throw it off immediately? I was like, that's a great idea. I'm going to do that. So I just walk up there, toss it. It was fun, man. It was such a great time. And like I also was experimenting. Like, there's a couple times I wasn't supposed to set the guitar down, but I did because I started to realize, like, I got to be out here more. Like, I'm such a front man.
Yeah.
You know, like, I know how to play. Like, this new album that came out yesterday. By the way, my album came out yesterday. Beautiful Blue Collar Boy. Stoked on it. Vinyl pre-orders out.
Oh, wicked.
Vote BabyJake 2024 T-shirts out, which I think is hilarious with everything going on in the States. Like I think that I got to be, even though I self-produce and I'm so into, you know, every instrument and everything, like I'm such a front man.
Yeah.
I love that energy. That's like who I am.
You were right up on the edge, like most of the set.
I want to be like that, you know, like I want to get in the crowd most of the time. So yeah, it's like a balance of learning how to do that. I think, you know, the more live shows I play, the more I learn, and the more gear we get, and the more like nerd out we get about it and stuff. So, but I think it was a fantastic crowd.
And now you already mentioned that you had a different version of the song I was talking about. And from following you for a while now, I know that you kind of jump genres.
Yeah.
And I
love to.
You mentioned that there's a country song on the
yeah, there is
too. So I'm curious, with starting out as an artist, we're in, like you mentioned yourself, you play multiple instruments stuff too.
Yep.
Like, did you start off as like a guitar player? And you kind of strike me as a singer songwriter as your start point.
That's what I did. Yeah. The beginning of my career was me, a guitar, and folk music.
Yeah.
Very folky, like Ben Howard, Vance Joy, that's Lumineers, Angus and Julia Young, all of that type of stuff. So it was actually crazy. I released my first EP ever under Jake Herring, which is my legal name, was Little Mess EP. It was a folk, like acoustic, minimal production, and me.
And
singing.
were you in Florida at the time?
I was in Florida, yeah, okay. and this was in 2016.
Okay.
So that was like my first real release. And I'd done SoundCloud before then and stuff. But that was my first like all DSP release. And back then, like Spotify was just starting.
Yeah.
Like streaming it had been around, but like that's when it started to get popular.
Yeah.
So like one of the songs did like back then 1 million views was a lot more. Back then, like the inflation, like that probably meant 10 million now or like 20 million. So one of the songs did 1 million views, and like it was crazy at that time. I got hit up by like, I forgot if it was Ben Howard's or Vance Joy's like record label and like all these like folk things, and I was like, fuck that shit. I'm depressed when I make this music.
Yeah.
Like I want to be like a pop star, And so then I made pop music. But I like to genre hop. I think the main thing for me and the reason that I kind of shifted from pop music in general, pop production, shall I say, I still write pop songs.
Yeah.
My hooks are always poppy. If you take them out of the production, you put a pop beat behind it, the shit will still sound like a pop song, The difference is that there's live instruments. And the difference for me was when I started to perform live a lot, I started to realize, oh, wait, I don't want to be the guy with the backing tracks like, just like a couple players that play a couple things. Like, I want to play real music, So if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it for real. So I started to just make that switch sonically. But, like, I don't know, even this album compared to the 2 albums I dropped last year, which were very alternative and 70s driven and folk singer-songwriter driven, this album feels more modern to me. Still alternative, but feels modern. And now I'm working on the deluxe, and then honestly, like, I'm a workaholic, so I'll start working on the next album probably before the year ends and into the beginning of next year. That I'm even going to take like influence from like the Gorillaz. And like people like that did a fantastic job mixing like, okay, this was alternative music, but they still rapped. They still had drum beats. Like they still had pockets that were samples. Like I think it's really cool, like and Dominic Fike does a good job of that and stuff. Like, I think that I'll continue to experiment, and I think it's actually getting closer now to like Don't Give Me Problems, Give Me Wine and like Confidant and Head in the Clouds and that stuff than it was 2 years ago, because now I've kind of the pendulum swung so like anti-major label, anti like pop, and now it's like balanced. I've fallen in the middle now. So
and that's perfect, because I know musicians that have been around, like any artist that I've followed for like decades or something, like somebody that's been around for a long time. You do see ebbs and flows where they kind of have to experiment a little to remain relevant.
Yeah.
But you seem to be able to adapt to all of it now. And that I do think modern music, that's really, like, look at what Post Malone's doing right now.
Yeah,
right? Like,
totally.
You can't label someone with a genre anymore. And
with
independent artists especially, because that's what I mainly cover on my show, independent artists from around this area.
Love that.
That seems to be exactly what's happening with everyone. They're like, yeah, well, I'm in an independent alternative rock band, and then you go watch them and you're like, that was a rap and jazz show.
Yeah. But I think that's the cool part of it. Like, I don't know, people definitely don't listen per genre. Right. Well, people do, but like maybe 10%, 90% listen to everything. I mean, that's why you have things like music festivals, Right. And I think that, I don't know, for me, the thing that I learned about this is you got to zone all this out. Yeah. From other people, unless it's somebody very close to you and a team that, like, I'm very thankful to have, Alter Records, which is the team, the independent label I'm doing this with, based out of New York. Like, literally, I was the first signee. Yeah. And these guys are all very experienced. They've been in the industry for like some of them 10 years, some of them 20 years, some of them 30 years. So they're all very experienced, but like, it just felt great to have a team that just knew, like, hey, it doesn't matter what we do. This starts with we all believe in this album.
Yeah.
Period. Not because it's rap, not because it's alternative, not because it's this, that. We just believe in the album. And I think that the mentality is there to just be like that. And I think what I learned from all this and going through the major label system, getting out of it, going independent, now signing to a new indie label that's a completely different animal than a major label. It's like the one thing that just is the through line to everything is the authenticity.
Yeah.
So when you start letting this get into your ears, I think people start to notice that you start doing things because of the wrong reasons.
Right. You're making it for somebody specific rather than making something you want to make that people would like.
It could be an alternative song with rap on it, but if you did that for the wrong reason, it's going to feel wrong. You know, not only to you, but then that's going to project to other people. So I think the biggest thing about the new music is like, and not saying the old music was like, in that time it was very real to me, but I was also very influenced. Now I'm just doing stuff based off of what I love, you know? And so, yeah, I mean, it's been a wild journey. I'm sure that when I'm 50 or 60, I'll be doing like jazz or something. But
Exactly.
Like who knows, like reggae, you know?
And how did you end up with a New York-based independent label when you were a Florida guy who now
lives in Nashville?
In Nashville, I assume. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming the Nashville thing is because of the singer-songwriter. Like that's like the capital.
Yeah. Also, alternative is like popping there.
Yeah.
You know, Cage is there, Greta's there, White Stripes are there, Black Keys are there, Ban Camino's there, Coin's there. All these people, you know, amazing people, you know, Noah Flourish is there, like all these upcoming people as well, you know. So I think it was just a great hub for me. And like also I started to look at my life as far as just quickly as far as the Nashville thing goes. I started looking at my life and be like, I can't really grow in LA. I was in LA and I was like, man, I can't buy anything. I can't like grow my life. And this, if I'm able to do this in Nashville, it's going to help my music because I'm not going to be burdened with like living, you know, like not saying I'm struggling, but like, you know, it was just a smart decision for me, but also for the music aspect and realizing like recording in Nashville and recording in LA are totally different because Nashville is one of the only places still left in the world where you can go in with like studio musicians and record an album. Like you know, to tape if you want, or like, you know, hey guys, we're gonna rehearse for 5 days and then we're gonna go in and cut all these records in one day. You know, live, like maybe to a click, maybe not. You know, so I don't know. It's a great spot to be, but yeah, the way that I got the New York label is because when I had this whole pretty much the demos done for this album, I put on my Instagram. First, I let go of my old management, which was huge. I actually manage myself now. I've been doing it for 6 months.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Smartest decision I ever did. Saved me a lot of money and taught me a lot. Not saying I'm going to be managing myself forever. I won't. It's a lot of work, but it taught me so much and saved me a lot of money. And so I was posting on my Instagram pretty much fresh, you know, letting go of my management and freshly posting, hey, I got these demos. I'm looking for a distributor. I don't want to do a deal was what I said. I don't want to do a deal. I'm looking for a distributor. And everybody came out of fucking woodworks, like 60 people. Hey, let's have a. So I had like 20 phone calls.
Oh, cool.
And a lot of them were great. And it really came down to Alter Music, who's, you know, the label that I'm with now. It's ran by this guy, Rob Stevenson.
Cool.
Signed the Killers, signed Alice in Chains, you know, co-signed Post Malone, like these amazing artists, and has been in the industry for 25 years. And he's like, this is why what we're doing at this independent label is different. This is why the major label system is bullshit. This is why we're gonna, you know, and it took like 3 or 4 calls because I didn't want to do a deal involving money. I wanted to own everything. I didn't want to do a license deal, but after 3 or 4 calls, I was like, you know, I was grilling them hard, and like I just reached a understanding that like, wow, these people really believe in the music. And it came down to Rob realizing when I didn't realize I was actually asking, which is very rare for an artist. I was asking for less money. You know, most artists want more money. Give me more up front. I was asking for less because I didn't want to stand behind the recoupment. And Rob goes, he stopped me like mid-sentence on the 4th call. He goes, Jake, stop. I finally understand what you're asking. He's like, we're not going to waste the money. That's what he said. He said, Jake, I'm going to tell you how we're not going to waste the money. 1, I don't have the money to waste. I'm self-funding this. 2, we're doing independent budgets. We're not like a major label where we can throw $100,000 at something. And all of a sudden you go, where'd the money go? And who's responsible for that?
Yeah, exactly.
Comes down on you. So after 4 phone calls with these guys, I was like, man, you know what? I'm going to give it a try. I'm glad I did. Every single song's been playlisted.
Yeah.
On Spotify, on Amazon, and Apple Music. It's been getting well received. All the creative stuff I've wanted to do, they've let me do.
Amazing.
The team is very, I just had a phone call with Steve on the team yesterday, like for an hour, at like 11, like his time I guess it was earlier, but like 11 p.m. at night, he's answering me on a Friday night, that's devotion shit. So I feel very lucky and blessed to be in this situation. And finally, like, it's taken me a long time, but my team is coming together. I have great lawyers. I have a great accountant. I have a great agent. I have a great label now. And now, looking for the management aspect eventually. Right now, I think I'm okay, but probably into 2025, looking for somebody to move the needle, to the next level. But, man, I'm glad that I'd never really got the opportunity early on in my career to build things how I wanted to. I kind of just got thrown in, and my first song was a hit.
Right there, I mean, not to interrupt the flow.
Yeah, sure.
For people that are watching this, that is absolutely something that, like, I'm significantly older than you, and I will say that at one point I was really into the concept of doing something like this, and my life did not take me in that as a career path. And I don't do it as a career, but I'm doing it right now. So, I mean, you can still, like, if you have that point in your life where you're like, you know what, I wish I had tried that a little differently. You can go do it right now. You should do it. Absolutely. If you have the itch, you should do it. You know, and there's like, now is the best time to do anything. 100%. Specifically anything involving digital media or creative media. Because look, do we get paid enough? No. Do we get residuals enough? No. But like at the same time, you want to go back 50 years ago and try to move your vinyl yourself? No. Yeah. You don't. Right now, at least you can get it to the world. Exactly. It's an amazing time to be a musician or a creative or a digital content creator or anything, literally anything because of the internet. Yeah, there's problems with it, of course. Pros and cons to everything. But I think that right now is like, it's just such a blessing for me to be able to basically build this thing how I always, maybe not how I always envisioned, but how I learned I wanted to build it, And like you just said, for a long time, like I knew that, I don't want to say it was going down, but I knew that my relationship, at least with my major label and my situation I was in when I was first in LA and first started going, I want to do this a different route. I knew for like a year and a half, 2 years while it was going down. And like you just said, I knew in the back of my head, it was itching me. It was saying, hey, just make this change. Yeah. But I was too scared. And then finally I did it. And I'm like, why did I wait that long? So anybody out there who wants to do some shit, do it, because time's just going to keep rolling. And like, man, it's only going to get better as far as creatives go and pushing your content to the world. Like, we're going to get more and more shit. Absolutely. I think people are worried about where technology is going with AI and stuff, but I think that's just going to free us up to be able to be more creative.
100%.
We're heading.
You can't AI this shit either. Like, you could try as hard as you can. Even you're going to have to build a fucking perfect AI robot that literally like, at that point it's not AI anymore. It's like you're living with other humans, So that'll be a different society. But like at that point, if you don't know if it's AI or not, then is it AI?
Yeah.
Right?
I agree. Yeah.
Like, no, man. At that point, it's like, okay, we're doing the same shit anyways. You know, like, 100%. You could be a fucking robot or an alien. I have no idea. You know what I mean? Yeah. So.
Exactly.
Are you?
Yeah. We'll have to figure if there's a test for that later.
Yeah, right? But seriously, like, I think it's a great time.
So, your album just came out, like, yesterday?
Correct, yeah.
And you're here.
Crazy.
PEI is your first time being here, you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
So you mentioned too the jackets from Montreal. So you've been to Canada.
I have, yeah.
So is there any Canadian dates coming up where you're promoting a new album?
Not this year. Mm-hmm. In 2025, I'll be coming back. This year we already have the tour booked, and it's just honestly, when you're playing smaller rooms, it's really expensive to get out there because of the taxes and because of everything. But I'll be coming back to Toronto, at least Toronto and Montreal and Vancouver in 2025. And hopefully, hopefully get out here and like, I got a buddy of mine, I don't know if you know him, Jeremy Albino.
I know the name.
He's incredible. He's based outside of Toronto, and like I've been talking to him a little bit about like potentially, coming out here and just like, I don't know, opening up for somebody like that or another artist that like is Canada based. That
what you could do is check out the East Coast DNA podcast. I feature independent musicians.
Honestly,
East Coast all the time. Like seriously. I'm joking, obviously, but seriously,
I'm serious though.
There
yeah.
are a few people out there that have gone through. I have live content on there besides the interviews, so if you are looking for people, it is a good way to check out some bands.
Yeah.
Joking aside.
Yeah.
And
seriously,
if you're coming back up next year, people want to follow you online. Like I mentioned Instagram, so it's at BabyJake.
Yeah, it's BabyJake.
Yes.
Like everything. I think TikTok's at BabyJake, and eventually I'm gonna change them all to BabyJake. I don't know. I like that better.
Yeah.
But right now, everywhere it's at BabyJake. At it's BabyJake. Sorry.
Perfect.
www.itsbabijake.com. At it's BabyJake on Instagram. So.
Excellent. And the album's on all streaming.
Yeah.
platforms.
Beautiful Blue Collar Boy, on all streaming platforms. Vinyl's available for pre-order right now.
Excellent.
First 300 vinyls are numbered, and they have a white disc with a blue artwork. Super stoked on that. There's also the Vote BabyJake 2024 T-shirt, which I think is hilarious. That's also only going to be like available in this time period too. Obviously, when we start touring, there'll be tour merch, but it'll be a little different thing.
So little incentives like leading up to the holiday season too. So
Yeah.
everyone can buy stuff. And
Yeah.
buy a whole bunch and give them to everyone on your Christmas list. They're not going to complain.
Like I said, like if you want to support a young independent artist, like buy merch, man.
Yeah.
Buy merch because that's the stuff that actually goes in our pockets. Like we got to pay, lawyers and agents and accountants and band members and travel for this, like for festivals and for shows and.
Cameramen get paid in merch.
Oh, that's a fucking love that. I love that. Damn, is that your friend?
Yeah.
They were sick. I love that fucking sweater.
Amazing.
Might have to go support them.
I'll introduce the two of you after.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Amazing.
They were great. Well,
So if you are coming back up next year, reach out through the podcast channels, and maybe we'll do a little longer format.
Would
to
love
see
to.
how the album's doing.
Would
and
love
see
to.
what the tour dates are.
yeah,
Amazing. Well,
should.
thank you very much for your time today, and I think we probably both want to catch part of the beaches set.
Yeah,
while we're
let's
out
do
there.
it. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, let's get out there.
Good
then.
friends of mine, so yeah, I would love to.
perfect.
They're so sweet.
Great. Well, tell them I want to talk to them too.
Yeah, I will if I can.
Yeah,
they're like untouchable now.
Oh, I know. It's impossible to get back there.
Yeah.
We'll go out and get a couple good views of their last few songs
Yeah.
here, and Greta Van Fleet later tonight too. So
Yeah.
thanks
do
for taking time when we have amazing talent to be out there.
Of
too,
course,
so.
no, man. I love doing stuff like this.
Great.
Mainly because hopefully it helps other people. So
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thanks again, and we will talk very soon.
yeah, would
Right,
love
thanks.
to. Thanks.
All right.